This tool right here is called the gradation tool, or the gradient tool. And that's the one that we were using to get the shadows in the living room. I could also use it to create my scallop. So again, I need to create a new layer because I'm just going to be adding pixels. So create the new layer. I'll just call this one light effect. And now the same layer order issue is at play here. We want to make sure that the light is being cast on top of the artwork, right? So I need this layer to be above the artwork layer. Click, hold, and drag that guy up there. And now I need to come to my color picker and get a color that's appropriate for a light effect. So I'll click on the color picker, and I'm still in the range of my my wall color. I'm going to just go back to that one. And I'm going to get a really, really light version of that color. So click OK. Okay, now I'm going to show you what happens if you just go ahead and pull the gradient tool through the ellipse. Start here, click, drag it down. Now I get this really hard edge. If I was to deselect, it looks pretty phony, right? So I'm going to go to my history here and step backwards, undo that, close that up, and I'm going to go back to the ellipse tool. And in the control bar up here, out at the end, there's a little button that's called Refine Edge. So I'm going to click on that, and that shows you what the edge is going to look like if you use the ellipse like this. Over here in the Refine Edge dialog box, there are these three sliders. The middle one is called Feather. And if you start moving it out, you'll see that the edge starts to blur for you. You make it really kind of ethereal, really gradiented, right? So then I'll click OK. Now this ellipse is set to have the edges look like the example that we just saw. So if I come back to the gradient tool and I click here and drag down, I get a much more fuzzy, kind of realistic looking light. I'm gonna do a deselect. And you can see that the pixels are kind of blocking out my artwork, right? That is where, if you come back over to the layer stack, remember the blending modes. Use multiply in the first assignment. Kind of used overlay a little bit in the second assignment. I'm going to use overlay again, and it lets the two layers react together, or lets the layer behind become visible from the layer in front. Okay, so now I've got a nice looking scallop. I maybe could have made it a little bit longer, but I think that'll do. And if I think it's still too bold, I can adjust the opacity, but I'm going to wait on that because I want to have two of these, right? So I'm just going to come over to my layer stack, right click and duplicate that layer. Click OK. And then I can just grab my move tool, and I've got two of them that are exactly the same. Maybe I'll adjust this one in a little bit, like so. And then I can just merge those two layers together. I'll click on the top one, right click, tell Photoshop to merge down, and now they're both on the one layer. Okay? Any questions about any of that? Okay, I think because there's a lot of materials and things to be found and placed in this model, and I just gave you a bunch of new things to think about as far as